We find a way, baby. Fever down. Bow, bow, bow.
I think for us, it's about knowing that basketball is a game of runs. And they made their run in that third quarter. And honestly, just continue to stay composed.
I think it's the next step up mentality as far as players. Our shifts keep changing. Everybody doing a different role.
Imagine buying tickets months in advance for what every headline calls the clash that will redefine the WNBA, only to learn 48 hours before tip-off that the league's brightest rookie star won't even lace up. Most crowds would deflate, but on this June night in Dallas, the buzz only grew stranger and louder. 20,000 fans, some flying in from as far as Indiana and Iowa, still streamed into the NBA-sized American Airlines Center, hungry for history. What they got was bigger than any single rivalry. A wounded Indiana Fever discovering a brand gear, unleashing a brand of basketball so relentless it silenced skeptics and sent shockwaves through every front office in the league. Over the next few minutes, we'll relive how a reshuffled lineup turned despair into dominance, how Aaliyah Boston's six-word mic drop birthed a new identity, and why this game might become the blueprint coaches steal when their own superstars go down. Before we unpack the madness, smash that subscribe button, because stories like this are why we're here, and you won't want to miss the next one. Ready? Let's dive deep.
Each possession at a time is something that we've been working on. And so for us, that was our focus, is get a stop, go down and score, get another stop, and we try to get a kill.
Weeks out, ESPN graphics pulsed with countdown clocks. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers college icons. Pro stage, Dallas officials, sensing a once-in-a-generation moment, uprooted the fixture from cozy College Park Center to the cavernous American Airlines Center. Overnight, ticket resale sites exploded. Nosebleeds hit triple digits. Courtside slid north of a grand. Hashtags like hashtag Clash of the Ones trended worldwide, and talk shows debated whether the game signaled a power shift in women's sports economics. Then the bombshell. Clark had aggravated her groin. Word trickled out quietly first, a beat reporter tweet, then a team statement prioritizing long-term wellness.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It's just, it really is a day-to-day thing.
In hours, the narrative flipped from coronation to crisis. Pundits predicted a letdown. Vegas swung 9 points toward Dallas. Yet, curiously, returns didn't spike. Fans kept their seats. Journalists kept their flights. And suddenly the night felt less like a spoiled party and more like an unpredictable science experiment. Would the Fever crumble minus their engine, or would anyone rewrite the script?
She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So, we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
Stephanie White knew the scouting reports. Without Clark at the helm, Indiana's half-court sets bogged down. Aaliyah Boston's touches evaporated, and Kelsey Mitchell forced into primary ball handler Duda found herself dribbling into traffic. So on game day, White tore up routine. In came Ari McDonald, a 5 feet 6 inches jetpack who'd averaged barely 14 minutes. White's message in the locker room was simple: we're going to run until they beg us to stop. McDonald didn't just start. She was told to hunt early clock, to chain high drag screens the instant she crossed half court. Meanwhile, Mitchell reverted to her comfort zones, lashing off pin downs, catching in space, seeing the floor one pass earlier. Dallas, having prepped 2 days to trap Mitchell on point, stared at film that suddenly felt useless. Reporters later learned that White installed 7 alternate sets in the morning shoot-around, drilling the group through flashcards because there wasn't time to print new playbooks. The gamble would reveal itself in the opening 90 seconds. The ball went up, and Indiana hit the gas. McDonald snaked a pick and roll, drew 2 defenders, and lobbed high to Boston for Aaliyah. Possession 2, she went coast to coast past 3 teal jerseys, finishing lefty as the bench erupted. Then a cross-court skip to Lexi Hall for 3. By the 4-minute mark, Indiana sat 7-7, the scoreboard blinking 17-4, and Dallas coach Latricia Trammell burned her first timeout just to slow the bleeding. Yet the pace only climbed. McDonald blitzed backtaps, turning defensive. Boards into 4-second sprint outs. Mitchell, freed from ball pressure, ignited dribble handoffs that curled into mid-range daggers. Each make fed the crowd's disbelief. 20,049 people watching a shorthanded team move like a track relay. Boston, often pigeonholed as a half-court bruiser, ran rimtorm, sealing deep for spoon-fed hooks. By quarter's end, Fever 33, Wings 13. The arena's decibel meter fitted for Mavericks games registered playoff levels. Only this time cheers were split, Dallas diehards groaning, but swaths of traveling Fever fans turning the AAC into Gainbridge Fieldhouse South. Paige Bueckers hates losing more than she loves highlight reels. Opening the second, she switched gears, no longer waiting for scripted sets. Instead, commanding empty side actions that isolated her against slower guards. A jab step 3 here, a wrong foot floater there, and suddenly the Wings found oxygen. Bueckers dissected help rotations like a surgeon, dropping a no-look to Natasha Howard, then a baseline wrap to Tiara Mc. Her run 12 points, 3 assists in 6 minutes, cut the margin to 9, and reignited 18,000 teal towels. Social feeds exploded with her historic stat line in the making. No turnovers while matching her season high by halftime. Yet her brilliance also forced Indiana to show its hand defensively. They junked up coverages, switch everything for 3 possessions, box and 1 for 2, then hedged hard off screens, turning turning the game into a cerebral chess match. Beckers kept solving, but every solve burned clock and legs, setting up the duel's second act. If Beckers brought the scalpel, Mitchell unsheathed the sledgehammer. Late third quarter, with Dallas within 5, Mitchell rattled off a personal 9-0 run, a hesitation pull-up at the nail, a transition corner 3 off Boston's outlet, and a spinning and one that sent her skipping toward the bench, pounding her chest. Yet the spectacular overshadowed the subtle. Time and again, she probed, drew 2, and fired skip passes that hit shooters in rhythm. 7 assists, each producing a make. The analytics crew later calculated Mitchell generated 1.55 points per possession when she touched the paint. Elite NBA efficiency transplanted to WNBA tempo, but her masterpiece arrived at 3:11 in the fourth. Trapped 30 feet out, she pirouetted, threaded a bounce pass between Mick Cowan's legs to Boston, who hammered an and one plus the foul. That single sequence flipped win probability from 54% to 80. Mitchell flashed 3 fingers her jersey number, but the subtext was clear: we don't need miracles, we execute. While highlight packages will replay Boston's 21 points, insiders know the game actually pivoted on 2 defensive sequences that transcended the box score. First, with 2:27 remaining and Dallas down 6, Natasha Howard barreled baseline 4, what looked like a momentum-swinging layup. Boston slid laterally, planted both heels, and went straight vertical, absorbing full contact yet refusing to foul. The ball ricocheted off the rim, and Fever guards instantly fanned out in transition. On the very next trip, a long rebound caromed high off iron. Boston anchored her hips, boxed out both McCowan and Howard, then volleyball tipped the ball to Lexi Hull, buying a fresh 14-second clock and draining priceless time. By the buzzer, her ledger read 9 of -14 shooting, 10 boards, 3 combined steals, blocks, and a +14 on-court differential. But numbers still shortchanged the psychology she imposed. Teammates later recounted her halftime plea: make them feel us on every cut, which ratcheted collective on-ball pressure. Each stop was a thunderclap, echoing through an arena already shocked by Indiana's lead, and every clap resounded a team flirting with panic. In essence, Boston became the eye of the storm. Whenever Dallas threatened chaos, she answered with discipline, elastic offense when opportunities surfaced, immovable defense when survival demanded it. Post-game, the Fever clustered near the tunnel, serenaded by Indy chants that sliced through a sea of drooping teal towels. Reporters ringed Aaliyah Boston, probing whether the neutral site had felt strange. She surveyed the upper decks of Navion Dread Clark jerseys blinking like beacons and dropped 6 words destined for t-shirts, bus wraps, and maybe a future documentary title: "Every game is a home game." The mantra detonated across social feeds inside 5 minutes, morphing into both meme and mission statement. League analysts have quietly tracked the phenomenon for weeks. Indiana's caravan overnight buses from Fort Wayne, student vans from Bloomington, charters from Des Moines regularly commandeers entire lower bowl sections. At Barclays, security now doubles autograph barricades because Fever post-game lines snake courtside long after arena lights fade. At Climate Pledge Arena, ushers have started stocking extra Navy foam fingers. The effect is emotional and tactical. Players swear the traveling decibel bump shaves to possessions off an opponent's composure. Assistant coaches clip sequences showing crowd roars disrupting opposing play calls. Marketing execs notice, too. Merch sales outside Indiana spiked 48% in the past month, and secondary ticket platforms list Fever road games at a 40% premium over league average. Boston's 6 words reframed the whole enterprise. Fans might initially buy seats for Clark's deep threes, but they leave chanting for Hull, roaring for Smith, and tweeting gifs of McDonald's coast-to-coast dashes. What began as gratitude has matured into a traveling brand ecosystem. Navion Dread caravans, game day meetups, and algorithmic timelines turning every away fixture into a de facto rally that coaches and rivals must plan for as surely as a double team in the post. The victory nudged Indiana 2-8 third in the East, but the ripple effects stretch far beyond one tidy column in the standings. Strategically, Coach White has now codified a dual-tempo identity, blistering transition through McDonald or Wheeler when Clark rests, and surgical half-court orchestration when Clark returns, forcing opponents to prep for 2 contrasting engines in every scouting packet. Analytically, the Fever posted 1.18 points per possession on a night their primary playmaker wore street clothes, proving the supporting cast can generate top-tier efficiency on demand. The staff also logged a 63% kill rate, 3 consecutive stops across the final 6 minutes, evidence that defensive toughness can be summoned when legs are heavy. Internally, the locker room now talks about proof of concept. Film sessions highlight not just primary reads, but third and fourth actions, hammer screens leading to slip cuts, Spain pick-and-roll counters, short roll passes from Boston to weak side shooters. Confidence has become transferable skill, not just emotional high. Financially, the league office smells opportunity. Neutral site showcases think Kansas City. Nashville suddenly on the table, buoyed by evidence that Indiana alone can anchor a 15,000 to 20,000 seat sellout. Sponsorship departments are already fielding calls from national brands intrigued by a traveling fan base that converts eyeballs regardless of zip code. Competitively, the Commissioner's Cup final versus Minnesota tilts intrigue-heavy. Indiana now owns film illustrating how to dismantle length and switch-heavy schemes without leaning on Clark's gravitational pull. Then comes a 5-game Gainbridge homestand. A 4-1 stretch would elevate them above 500 for the first time since 2015 and potentially vault them into a playoff seed that avoids New York and Vegas until a conference final. GM Lynn Dunn, flush with 2 open roster spots and mid-level cap wiggle room, could target a veteran 3-and-D wing to fortify depth. In short, the league just learned that the Fever's ceiling isn't tethered to one rookie's health. It's anchored to a chemistry experiment that scales, and that realization may force every contender to rip up its scouting reports before the postseason even tips. A night that began with a collective groano. Clark Becker's duel ended as a rallying cry that could reverberate far past September and wedge itself into the long-term mythology of the league. Fans who shelled out for what they thought was a once-in-a-lifetime matchup walked away having witnessed something.
No.
Preview headline predicted, resilience forged in real time, a roster reinventing itself under the hottest Klieg lights imaginable, and a 6-word thesis: every game is a home game that may soon be plastered on conference final rally towels and airport welcome banners alike. If that mantra sticks, NBA arenas from Seattle to Brooklyn will keep flipping into Navi-on-Dread pilgrimage sites, transforming Indiana's travel schedule from routine road swing into a rolling festival of belief. Coaches across the W will now burn extra hours splicing tape, lengthening shell drills, and whispering hopes that Caitlin Clark's eventual return interrupts rather than turbocharges the Fever's new chemistry. But if the lessons of Dallas endure warp speed pace, ruthless purpose, egalitarian fire, historians may highlight this very date as the pivot when a cap-tight mid-tier squad vaulted into bona fide title consideration. The ripple effect could touch everything: playoff seeding calculus, the rise of neutral site showcases, even future broadcast negotiations built around portable fan bases that guarantee atmosphere anywhere. Sponsorship execs are already crunching numbers on merchandise velocity outside Indiana, while league marketers ponder whether the Clark effect has quietly matured into the broader Fever phenomenon. So buckle up, WNBA diehards and brand-new converts alike. Indiana just proved home court advantage is wherever their bus parks, and that revelation injects fresh, high-octane uncertainty into the entire 2025 bracket. If you crave more deep-dive breakdowns like this, smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, and ride along, because the next stop on this wild journey is only a tip-off away.